Hi guys, welcome down to Quest Golf Studio here in Lytham with myself, Rick Shiels, with Peter Finch and me, my golf. Because we're going to give you 3 simple ways of you becoming more consistent. How many times do you hear this word in lessons?
Magic word, that is.
Consistency is key. So we're going to have 3 different methods of staying consistent by 3 experts in wedges, irons and drivers. Who are we going first?
I've got the driver, let's go first, shall we?
So, Piers Ward from Me My Golf. Guys, if you've not seen Me My Golf's channel, I'm sure you have already, but go and jump over there and subscribe. Consistency with driver, off you go.
Okay, well this is with all shots, I'm just going with driver because you guys already picked the other ones. But I've got a tennis ball here, chopped in half, and this is going to help me with my leg work, okay? So we're going to start with the backswing first of all. So I'm just going to take my setup with my driver on the beautiful Quest Golf driving range you have here. And I'm going to place it underneath my right heel. Now the objective is here, I always think, and me and Andy talk about all the time, getting a strong, stable, low body is going to help you get a consistent contact on the golf ball and actually help you control the golf shots.
Well, just this week, just sorry to interrupt, Justin Johnson contributed a lot of his success recently to stability.
Yeah.
He even said, I'm just much more stable.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good as it gets as an athlete. So here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place, as I say, the right heel underneath, the trail heel underneath. And this is just for the backswing. So the objective is that when I swing to the top of the backswing, I'm going to squash the tennis ball into the ground. Now what that does, it puts the sort of the pressure into the heel on my right foot, my trail foot, which is great for getting a good wind up. A lot of people go onto their toes or even onto the outside of their foot if they get one of these sways going on. So you can see from here, hopefully, that I've got a pretty good lower body, stable lower body in the backswing. Okay?
Perfect.
Downswing, swap it over. Put it underneath the left heel. And this is great for maybe a little bit of power as well.
This would be great for me because currently I'm coming up off the heel on my left foot anyway, so
yeah,
the tennis ball will be purchased.
We will leave this with you. So what we're going to do from here is, obviously I'm still going to get that same sensation of winding up into the backswing into that trail side, but on the way down now I'm going to get my left heel and I'm going to crush that tennis ball. I'm going to squash that tennis ball. We call this the thunder stamp as well, but I'm going to squash that tennis ball as I'm coming down into the hit.
I love it.
Simple.
I love it. Do you want to give it a whack?
Let's give it a go. All right, here we go. So squash the tennis ball.
Nice drive.
That one.
That one, Piers.
So it gives you more ground contact, stability,
awareness,
all of the good stuff that we want.
Awareness, and as you said yourself, you're up on your toes a little bit now. Look, it's important with some people, it actually helps them get away with some things in their golf swing. But if you're looking to make yourself more consistent going into the winter, maybe, if you can work out how to become more stable in your lower body, wind up here and then press into the ground to then get you going through into your backswing. I think what it does is it just makes you aware of where the ground is more than anything.
Yeah, well, it helps you educate your feet movement as well, because sometimes the education of your feet is hard to actually monitor unless you're on force plates or pressure pads, but something as simple as that is just an easy way.
I definitely recommend doing it in the house as well, barefoot. Okay. Not hitting shots, Peter. Not hitting shots, but just take your shoes off and actually do some work with the tennis balls underneath, and then get rid of the tennis balls and then actually work it. Say, okay, I'm getting that feeling.
Just on this as well, would almost like, please take this in the best sense, almost stood on your bed. Would give you that kind of sensation of, again, educating your legs about how to work.
We do a little bit with the dyno pads as well, Boso balls as well, just getting yourself some work on that stability. Like
Things that I just have
on your bed and give it a go.
I think that's the moment that the family finally realise you've gone crazy.
Yeah, that's when you know.
If you stood barefoot on your bed with 2 tennis balls underneath your feet.
That's when you know you are a golf nut. You have cracked it. Right, well done. Piers, that was perfect. Thank you. Who's next?
I'll just hit the t-shirt down in the middle if you're not going to play the next one.
So Andy Proudman.
So I think one of the big things that people overlook is just contact. So making sure that, well, actually just identifying where on the face you strike the golf ball. And time again we have golfers come to us for lessons, and that's not even a thought for them to just check it. So number one thing, first of all, we want you to check and assess where you strike the golf ball. So face tapes I've got on here, you can use some of the foot spray, which is so easy to get now from the chemist. Just spray that on there, it's going to give you an idea of what you want. So hit some shots and just have the awareness of what's going on.
And just on that very quickly, because you might even be able to see evidence of where you've hit without this. If you practice a lot, go and have a look at your clubs. Definitely. Because a lot of a club, if it's worn out a lot, you'll actually see where your tendency would be. Yeah. You see a lot of golfers striking a heel of a golf shot, but when you actually look at it, actually visualise and see, or inspect it and see where's the strike coming from.
Yeah, if you're a consistent practicer, you're going to definitely see a wear mark. So this will then help also when you actually come to hitting the shot, because if let's say you're somebody who hits the heel of the golf club, then using some negative feedback here to make sure they're in the right place putting some tees on the ground or some head covers in the way. I'm going to make it tight.
That's a tight gap, isn't it? That.
Let's have a look. There we go. So if you're somebody who hits the heel of the golf club, then obviously the club is sort of returning to the golf ball like that. So this is a great way to then just train to miss the tee pegs, and just by focusing on the strike rather than necessarily the swing, it's going to have a big impact. And then as you practice, you can get closer and closer to the centre and start to get that wear mark more in the middle.
Because again, just on this swing type, doesn't always marry back up to strike.
Yeah.
You can have the best looking swing in the world, but it doesn't mean you can strike it.
No, strike is king. Strike is definitely king.
And sometimes a completely crazy wacky swing can actually return it back to middle every time.
And I've got a guy who I coach, I've got a few of them actually, who they've got some swing faults, but I ask them to change their swing and he can't even strike it, but I ask him to improve his strike and it changes in golf swing. So sometimes working on strike can just affect the golf swing. So sometimes
perfect. It does get overlooked too often. So this is a great drill for this.
So I want to see if I can miss these. I haven't really had too many warm-ups, so hopefully I can find
That's
the
a
middle
lie.
between.
That is a lie.
I think I've delayed the start of this video for
just
2
2
hours.
It's actually interesting that if we've got someone who's shanking the golf ball, we'll actually get them to hit the tee peg nearest to him as well as the golf ball.
Or avoid the one on the...
Yeah, definitely avoid that one, but actually focus on hitting the other one as well.
Okay, right, here we go then. Let's see if I can miss the two. Here.
Oh, he's got no chance.
Small gap there, but no problem.
Oh my goodness!
Nice.
Show that ball mark to the camera, and that's got to be out the middle.
Look at that.
Show it's that one on the floor.
Show it on the floor. There we go. Just to show you what's there.
We had to actually graphically import that.
But you know what? It's just the awareness. That felt great off the face, and some people think they hit it on the middle.
Correct.
And they'll find out this whether they actually are.
Yeah. And again, sometimes you get, if you challenge the idea for a student and someone who practices a lot, where did you hit that from?
Yeah.
So actually do that shot and go, don't look at the club yet and go, where's that actually hit from?
Agreed.
And try and, again, educate yourself about the feeling of where it's hit from, not just the evidence of the actual strike, because sometimes middle doesn't always feel like middle if middle to you has been from the heel or the toe.
Yeah. So practice strike, not necessarily swing, but definitely some great feedback.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andy Proudman.
Mr. Finch.
Right.
We'll take this.
So now we've bombed the drive, we've knocked it through the back of the green because he hit it that well. You're now chipping.
Right, okay.
So this is again all about consistency.
Consistency within kind of chipping and possibly short kind of pitching as well, but kind of within about 50 yards of the green. Something you see with the very best players in the world, it's not that they're doing anything crazy, it's not that they're doing anything extra special, it's just the fact that they're not doing much at all. It's so simple. There's hardly anything going on. Now, what I mean by...
And what you mean by almost like the technical aspects of that?
Technically it is super simple. I think a lot of people try and get quite complicated with the short game, try and play very fancy shots when there's no real need, and the way to make a chip shot or a pitch shot simple is to actually cut down on the amount of moving parts. Now, you can do a lot of this with your setup. So for example, in a full swing, you want to be shifting your weight left, you want to be turning those hips up and out the way, but with a short shot you won't have time to do that. So the easiest way to do that is at setup, preset those feet, those knees and those hips slightly off to the left hand side if you're a right-handed golfer. Now that will automatically get your shoulders pointing off to the left hand side. Now that could cause path to go left, you don't want that, so let's just get those shoulders and make those parallel back again to target. So that's preset your impact with your hips, and it's allowed your shoulders to remain square.
So simple idea, feet, knees, hips open to target, again another terminology, but then shoulders square to target.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's kind of it's where your shoulders want to be at impact, it's where your hips want to be at impact as well. And because you don't have time to shift your weight onto your left side, all we need to do now is preset that onto the left side. So you've already preset hip turn, weight shift and shoulder position. Now you also want to preset hand position, just being slightly ahead of the ball, so you have a ball first and then turf strike if you're trying to play a general chip and run shot. You can switch this around if you're trying to get something more high, more floaty. But that setup...
But sometimes the simplest techniques and shots is consistency.
Oh, yeah.
Again, around the short game there's lots of ideas of different shots, your bump and runs, your high floaty ones, your flop shots, your checky ones. And sometimes a golfer just needs a chip shot.
Well, you see so often, I mean, with people who kind of coach down here, 2 yards off the green, pins about 10 yards on, setting up like this and trying to play this ridiculous flop shot, there's no need to.
I'm working on that at the moment. I am. It's not. It's always a flaw of mine. I realise that. I'm always after the fancy shot. No, I'd take putter. From 50 yards in, I'm putting.
So I've got that kind of set up in that position. Now, you're pretty much ready to go. And the only thing that you really need to know now is how can you cut down the amount of moving parts in your swing. You've already preset most of what you want to be doing. And this is where you really want to be focusing on what I call a triangle with a Y. So the arms and the shoulders in a triangle position, and the club matching the left wrist and the left arm coming out. And all I'm going to be doing with all the preset positions that I'm currently in is just move those shoulders back. So that triangle maintains the same. The shaft angle to my left arm remains the same. Just going to turn those shoulders through. Triangle remains the same. That club remains the same. The reason it's a Y, it just forms a Y shape between the hands and the arms.
The Finchy chipping technique.
Yeah.
The
So,
Finchy
with a Y.
The Finchy with a Y.
Why?
That is the question.
so everything's just been cut out in that setup position. Shoulders back and through. Maintaining that Y shape. And all I've had to do there is limit the amount of movements and just make the simplest time.
So what you'll see on screen there is that's Peter's setup and that's Peter impact. And look at the similarities. There's a tiny bit of weight shift more onto the left, but hardly anything at all. They're almost identical. You can almost not be able to tell the difference apart from the balls coming off the face there.
And that's the point, because you've got yourself set into a position that you want to replicate, and you just move back and through. Okay.
Consistency. Consistency comes from the idea of making things not too complicated, making sure you do the same things over and over and over again to become consistent in that manner. You've got your education of your weight distribution in your feet, perfect tip there by Piers. You've got your strike location, absolutely imperative if you want to become consistent from Andy, and some simple ways of doing that. And then the simplicity of becoming an idea of a simple chipping shot that is not all bells and whistles. It does a job that makes the ball go up in the air, go onto the green.
But it works, doesn't it?
And it can be developed. So you can move your weight, you can move ball position, to totally change the flight and the spin characteristics of that shot by just setup again.
By having that simple idea. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed that idea. You will now become so much more consistent. It will become boring. Thank you very much for watching. We appreciate, as always, do thumb up the video if you've enjoyed it. Comment below, what do you struggle with consistency? What part of your game do you struggle, and hopefully we can create some videos with your ideas. Don't forget, as always, if you want to appreciate these guys and give them some love, go and subscribe to their channels. Subscribe to Pete, subscribe to Me and My Golf, biggest YouTube channel in golf. We want to keep everyone growing together. Guys, thanks for watching. We look forward to seeing you all soon. We've got loads more videos. And enjoy your more consistent golf
Thanks
games.
for having us.
The boring game, really. It's much more exciting when you smash it about everywhere.